I was reading, or I heard somewhere, that if you imagine the sun as being a whole and complete in itself, and each one of us, quote unquote, or each being, each individuation, if you like, being a ray of that sun, okay? Now, that to me, that struck me as being an incredibly good metaphor, because what it implies, right, is that the ray, okay, it's part of the sun, but it's never separate. Every ray is part of the sun.
It's never separate. In one sense,
it's never separate.
It's never separate. It's always connected. It's always the ray.
But we think we're separate. We don't think we're part of the sun.
Yeah, well, that's right. And you need to kind of see that. But to actually see ourselves as individual rays means that we have both this sense of individual rayness, at the same time we're part of the sun. You know? And but my point is that there is something slightly different about this ray than the sun itself, because the ray does sometimes get into this state where it doesn't recognize that it's part of the sun. Therefore, it does get into an illusory state. It doesn't have to be.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And that's the bit that actually just says, although it's one whole thing, the sun and the rays, there is just enough qualitative difference between the source and the rays, where the rays can actually be in this illusion, whereas the source, the sun, isn't. But actually, in reality, they are all connected. They are all part of the one thing we call sun. So in one sense, there is a oneness. There's a total oneness connecting absolutely everything together. And in pure consciousness, we might understand that. But at the same time, there's also enough distinction so that there's a certain individuality within the picture as well. So it's a much more complex whole than we might have just given it credit if we just think it's all one. It's actually much more complex and dynamic.
But doesn't the complexity arise out of our desire to understand it? Why do we need to understand it? There's nothing to understand. We are part of the whole, okay? Or we are the whole, I would say. And then the parts, that's why I asked you about emanations.
But you can't say you are the whole. I mean, you can say because...
Well, I can from a quantum physical point of view.
We can say that... are you saying if you are in illusion, if you are exhibiting ego, that the whole is exhibiting ego?
No, well, let's come back to illusion. Well, hang on a second. Let's come back to illusion, because I think it's very important that we're clear on what we mean by illusion here. My take on the illusion is that, and we've had this conversation before.
I think we have.
You know, we have. But, you know, everything that is not, as you would say, consciousness, and we've had the argument about what that means as well, everything that is not consciousness, right, is illusion. Right? Okay, what's your definition of the illusion then?
No, illusion is a state that consciousness is in. There can't be illusion without consciousness.
Well,
consciousness has to be illusioned, you know, eluded. That's probably the right word.
Well, let me. I think you're chunking down slightly. What of course I mean by consciousness is in a sense the universal, or now multiversal, you might say, force that you were talking about earlier, the source. So if consciousness is the source, we talked about this before, didn't we? And I was saying energy is the source. You're saying consciousness is the source. I'm
saying that there is a source of all existence.
Is that consciousness?
And which has to be conscious.
Okay.
And therefore you can say it is a form of conscious energy.
Yes.
But it is a source, and therefore it is a source of conscious energy. And it is perfect and complete in itself, and all the emanations from it are perfect and complete. Therefore, they also contain consciousness. You know, and however, the emanations being overall subservient to the source, although they are part of it, although in one sense they're never divided, separated from it.
But what do you mean by subservient to the source?
In that there is the potential, and we have to recognize that me, this thing I call me. Yes. I am under some form of illusion at this current state.
Yeah. Well, the concept of me is an illusion.
Well, but then even if you say that, you're saying that my being,
Yeah.
is in some form of illusion. Now, you've only got two choices. Either you're saying
Well,
the
no,
totality.
hang on a second, no.
Either you've got to say that is, it is me as some form of individualized entity, some form of quantized being. And we talked about consciousness being, it's possible to quantize consciousness so that you can have individual quantums of conscious energy, which is who we are.
Yeah. Well,
and those quantums have the potential for choosing illusion. Illusion is not, some malevolent force. It is the choice of consciousness to, in one sense, choose to be less than we really are. But it is a form, ultimately...
That I accept.
Ultimately, then, it envelops us in an illusory state.
I think I would...
Sorry, I'm
go on,
sorry.
No,
I've interrupted you too many times.
No.
But it really comes down to the point that if that is my state, and you can say, it's not my, that it still doesn't matter. I believe, I am in this state. I don't recognize whatever truth you are trying to tell me. The more you tell me, I'm in this illusion, the more it just kind of makes my point that I'm in this state of illusion. Now, I've only got it two ways. Either I can say, if I'm in this illusion, then the totality is an illusion. Everyone else and the supreme, the whole, all existence is an illusion.
Okay.
Or I can say, well, actually, maybe it's just me and a few of my mates. And there are states of conscious beinghood where they're not in illusion. And that's the choice, out of the two that I would subscribe to.
Okay. I'm curious, because how would you...
Sorry,
I think we may be getting a little sort of heavy here, but it's... I was going to ask you how you define existence, because if, existence to me is like the second division, right? Above existence is creation or a creator. Now, whether that's God or a source or something like that, do you see what I'm saying? Now, whether the two can act independently, I don't think they ever can, because the two are, again, it's connected. It's like the sun's rays, again.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is, this is what I was trying to say, and I'm curious about you saying the whole thing is an illusion, because I think that, logically, yes, I can see that.
No, but you can't say everything else is in illusion. You can say that your whole perception of everything is an illusion, but you can't say that everything is under the same illusion. If you might say to me, "Oh, you're just in illusion," thinking of that you are this individual being. All right. So, are you saying that there are some people who are not in illusion?
Hang on a second. That depends on this. This is going back to.
Are you saying that
this is going back to subjective or objective reality, isn't it? Because think of it this way: if you're saying to me,
I'm saying is that say we had a load of glasses in the on the table.
Yeah.
This one has got water in it. Does it mean that every other one, that everything's got water in it?
No.
No, this has got water in it. This is
but
the
it
one
does mean that all the glasses are made of the same stuff.
They can be made of the same thing, but they're not necessarily all in the same state. And that's my point.
Okay. Well,
and my point is that I might say I am part of the whole, but just because I am in a particular state of being, in terms of being an illusion, doesn't mean the whole is an illusion.